Welcome back to the Unfiltered Trainer. I am your host, Gina, aka Gina Marie Fit, and as I am filming this intro, it is December 18th, and a fun little story to help you feel a little bit better about yourself this holiday season. Last week, one of my family members had asked me about my arrival time so we could figure out who was picking me up at the airport. Our family lives over an hour from the airport, so I always feel awful that somebody has to come get me, even though everybody is always willing. I know I could ask a million people and they would come get me. I just feel so bad because the flight times this year are honestly awful, and I am not touching ground till between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. And so I hate that I feel like I have to inconvenience somebody, even though they're totally willing. But what was funny about that was we were trying to figure this out. And I said, oh, well, guys, we don't have to stress about it. We have 2 weeks. And then we had the conversation. I did not realize that I was leaving in a week. And so ever since my TBI, my sense of time is really off, and I don't have the greatest ability to decipher like days of the week and time frames. And so in my head, there was 2 more weeks till I had to leave for Christmas. And so as of that Sunday, I had not bought a single gift for any of the littles. I had not done anything, packed anything, got anything ready to go. And then I panicked because usually I'm a very thoughtful gift giver. I am not somebody who is about buying things because of a name brand or like flashy things. There's always a lot of thought that goes into my gift giving, and I like to have time with my intuition as I go around and I see things that I feel like would remind me of somebody or they would benefit from. And so for me, Christmas is a time that's usually very special as an adult because I get to provide thoughtful gifts. And so I had a bit of a panic because ever since my accident, I have not been myself, and I have a very hard time with memory and associating time frames and stories with people. And so as I was going shopping last week, there were a lot of memories I'm realizing have all flooded together, and I can't decipher one from the other, when one happened, or who was really there. And it kind of was a weird freak out moment internally because this is the part that I don't let a lot of people see. I've really thought about doing the TBI episode, and I know I'll get there, but it's really scary to let people in and know what my life has been like the last 4 months. And so I was shopping and just a mess because I have to write everything down right now. I always have a list because I have OCD, but right now if I don't go places with the list, I can't remember why I go there. And so I made this whole list, a whole plan. I consulted with my brother. We always split Christmas. And so sadly, he cannot be here this year. And so I wanted to make sure like all of our bases were covered. I had got everything, wrapped it, and it would be in my suitcase ready to go so that when I touched ground, I didn't have to go or do anything and I could just enjoy that limited time I had at home. And so I did all of this and I went to the store and I forgot the list and literally trying to decipher what I had planned and what I was getting and sizes, and it was just an absolute mess. And so over the course of like 4 days it took me to get all of this done and then to wrap everything. It just made me really realize and associate with why 60% of people will struggle with their mental health at some point during this holiday season. And I really feel like it's because we have these endless to-do lists before the holidays. Everybody is working. We're working extra. Like I have 2 jobs. Like you just never have enough time to do what you normally need to do. And now you add on travel and family and visitors and baking. And it's no reason why that this really is a trying time for a lot of people. And so I thankfully have everything done. I'm just waiting on a couple more things to arrive, and then I'm going to finish wrapping everything. I'm pretty sure my suitcase is overweight at this point, but I'm trying to get everything into one big suitcase and a carry-on. And then in my personal item, I'm just going to put some of my clothes and stuff because I'm trying not to come back with 2 suitcases if I don't need it because I'm traveling on my own. And so as I was preparing for this and just thinking about the holidays, a part of the holidays that I don't normally publicly share, but here we're unfiltered and we're here to share our truth, is that I actually don't like the holidays like I didn't as a kid. And even like as I got older, I really loathe the holidays because they would bring back a lot of really difficult suppressed memories. When I was growing up and I was younger, it was a very volatile situation. Having split households and 2 divorced parents was hard enough. Having a very manipulative biological mother who was trying to pretty much use her children for financial gain and to get more out of our dad, who was already doing the most he could. It just made for a really rough time when the handoff would happen and we would have to switch from one household to the other. And it was just a really difficult time, and a lot of fights happened because of that. And until she gave us up, it was really a rocky time period, and it took even years after she was gone to really process and understand, because you would want, sometimes when you come from a divorced family, you'll, say, oh, I'd rather be with this one, or I'd rather be with this one, because you don't fully understand the truth when you're a child. And so sometimes you would want to go with that other person because they would let you do whatever you wanted, and then you realize as you get older why that was and the lack of supervision. And so then you realize how grateful you are for that structured household that was so diligent, that was, so strict, honestly, in the best possible way. And so I just think about like how wild of a time that was, and just how rough that had to have been. And just knowing that so many other families are facing split households. They're facing, a lot of my patients specifically this year are facing their first big Christmas alone. And as somebody that has gone through an extensive amount of grief, especially with Christmas looming, this is when we lost my best friend to breast cancer a week before Christmas. It's one of those things where I never could understand why we couldn't have one more Christmas with her, because she had loved it so much. And just knowing that there are so many other families facing a very difficult holiday season because of grief and loss, it just made me want to produce an episode that addressed all of those things, because the holidays aren't always happy. And so in this episode, I really want to break down a lot of the common factors, situations, the things that can lead to those struggles mentally, and establish a healthy, happy, and hopefully sane holiday season. We all know we're going to have moments of stress. We're all going to forget things. I'm praying to God I remember my ID and get on that plane with no issue. But, things are going to happen, and it's not going to be perfect. And that's what makes fond memories. But I really wanted to go into the mental health side of things for those of us that don't always feel happy at the holiday season, and what you can do and the tools you can utilize to get you through this season. Somebody that has dealt with a lot of anxiety and depression, and I've definitely felt it over the holiday season, I first want to talk about the most common signs, symptoms, struggles that we'll notice during the holiday season. And a lot of this seems just very easy, honest information, but anything that is necessary like that, we need a little refresher course on, because as the days get closer to these very important holidays and the stress starts to rise, we can lose our patience with people and we can take things for granted. And so one of the biggest things and biggest struggles I notice with myself around the holiday season is the overwhelm from loss and grief. For me and my personal situation, the holidays have a lot of loss. My best friend, when she was passing away from cancer, passed away the week before Christmas. And I've never quite understood why she couldn't have that last Christmas. And before she passed away, my dad and my grandfather had passed away a couple months before. And as that time frame in our life was happening, we had other family members that were not well. And so I'll talk about it in our grief episode, but there's this period of 3.5 years of my life where somebody was actively dying, being diagnosed with an illness that was life-altering, life-changing, life-ending, or there were several very unexpected losses in my life, including one of my best friends. And this period of time went on for 3.5 years. And for a lot of my family members, my brother, sister, and I, we went first. It was our dad that passed away first. And so sometimes I think that had to happen because we were so well versed in grief that we were there and able to help our other family members as they would go on to lose their parent or their significant other. And for me, I feel like we went first so we could take on that burden and that we could be there to support the rest of our family as we would all go through this really extensive, long journey with grief that lasted 3.5 years. And so what's really important is that we avoid comparing our situations at the holiday season. There are so many people dealing with grief, whether that's their own parent, a sibling, a child, a significant other, a friend. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's somebody in your life that you love that's no longer with you, you have every right to grieve that loss. We have to stop this habit of comparing things that have no business being compared. Just because I lost my parents doesn't mean that because you lost your sibling, it's any less awful. Loss is simply that. You no longer have somebody that was crucial to your existence in your life. And for the love of all things, time does not heal anything. Time teaches you how to learn to deal with it, but time does not heal grief and loss. When you have spent your whole life with somebody, or you lose your parent, or your child, or your significant other, time does not make you miss them less. Time teaches you how to grieve properly. It teaches you how to go through the process. It teaches you how to heal, and it teaches you how to move on, but you don't forget that person. It'll help you heal in the sense of you will understand and you will come to terms with it eventually. But when you say time heals all wounds, it does not fill the void that is left when that person is not at that dinner table. And so we have to be really mindful of how we say things to people who are grieving. Now, let me preface this because as somebody went through an extensive amount of grief, there's a lot of times when things were said that shouldn't have been said to me, and not in a bad way. People just don't know what to say. And let me give you the disclaimer here. If you don't know what to say, then don't say anything. Just tell that person you're there to support them. I know from personal experience that there is nothing to say. There is no right thing to say. There is no perfect thing to say. What mattered to me the most was that I knew I had people in my corner, but I knew there was nothing we could do. I knew there was nothing that was going to bring those people back. But what hurts me the most is that I know there is nothing I can do for my own family and friends to make them hurt any less. And so one of the biggest struggles and issues at the holiday season is loss and grief, which is why we need to be kinder souls and human beings. We all know we have impossible to-do lists. We all know there's a million things that have to get done. You have so many places you need to go. But don't lose sight of the fact that that person you might be getting frustrated with, who's taking extra time in line, that person might have just lost something extremely important to them. And they can't even put 2 and 2 together right now. So as we go into another crazy holiday season, let's be mindful and try to lead with compassion and kindness, because you have no clue what somebody's going through in their life. The second thing that causes an extreme amount of stress at the holidays is the fact that we feel this pressure to participate in every little dream scenario. So you want to go to every single house. You want to do every activity. You want to please everybody around you. So you will go to impossible standards, lengths of extreme sleep deprivation to make it all possible. And then the holiday's over, and then you feel full of resentment because you didn't even get to enjoy it. So what will really save you is leading from the front and having realistic expectations for the holiday. I know we all have this dream idea. You see all these movies, you see all these love stories and these Hallmark movies where everything works out. I don't know about y'all, but everything doesn't work out in this life. And it's going to keep reminding you of that time and time again. And so something that's really important is that you really set the tone for your holiday season by what can you handle, what's realistic, and like truly just let go right now that there is no perfect holiday. There is no ideal way to spend it. Do your best to spend the time that you can, to make the most out of the time you are given. And if you can't be with your loved ones in person, we did FaceTime last year when I couldn't come home for Christmas, and it wasn't the same, but it was just nice to be included. So be mindful when you feel that pressure to participate in every single little activity, when you're invited to every cookie exchange and holiday party. Set the expectation and set boundaries and be okay with saying no. No is a full sentence, and no does not need an explanation. The third thing that I noticed that I've experienced myself, and I know an extreme amount of people have a history of experiencing and sadly will experience this year, is the financial stress that comes with the holidays. There is so much commercialization and marketing around the holidays that you will feel an immense amount of pressure to buy gifts, to buy everything you think that your loved ones are going to need, and that can put you into serious debt. It can make you feel extremely less than because you're lacking in value, because you're not able to purchase things. I know this year, y'all, I have been through it in life. Not only just my accident, but like 2 major car issues. Like the math ain't mathin' this year. And then our new company had given us a 20% pay cut. And we'll talk about that in the best intentions, worst outcome episode. But let me tell you, it has been a struggle and some serious hustle to get through this year. And I know it's not going to be like last year's Christmas. I'm just not in the same place, and I'm transitioning to something new for 2024. And so I'm trying to be very mindful of my finances and trying to control the most I can control. But I know that pressure when the math is not mathing and you don't have those funds, but you want to do something for those you love. And on my best Christmases, especially when I was a college student working at the grocery store, the sentimental gifts that put effort and show thought are far more important than some designer label, bag, or shoe, or something that's going to fade. Make gifts, do things, random acts of kindness, thoughtfulness, if that means you're doing a donation in somebody's name. I know most of the people in my life have everything they could possibly need. They don't need me to buy them something. I just want to do a few special things that show my love and appreciation. But I know I'm just definitely not going all out this year. And also, as I'm still recovering from my TBI, just knowing the thought of having to go into a mall, the overstimulation, the sounds, how loud it is, the stress, it already makes me want to have a panic attack. And so I know I'm not going to be able to do my normal Christmas because I also just don't have the bandwidth or the levels of energy that are required to do what I normally do every year. And so if you're in that position where you've been struggling like a lot of people this year, please just give yourself grace. You're doing the best you can. Things will eventually work themselves out. Stay the course and do your best to try not to compare yourself to other people's stories, because I've learned just from being on social media that when you see people doing these extensive hauls, a lot of times they're paid for, or a lot of times they're paid with a credit card that a person can't afford. And so don't compare somebody else's Christmas to yours. And let's also refrain from judging people when they post their Christmas tree this year. If they give their kids 500 presents or they give their kids 3 presents, What people choose to do with their own lives is not our business. And the fact that we shame people for doing too much or not doing enough continues to create these narratives that yield podcast episodes, honestly, because the stress that we feel financially usually comes from childhood. There's usually a deep-seated reason for the fear we feel financially. And in a year where things have been such a roller coaster with so much happening, the last thing somebody needs is a snarky comment on their social media posts when they're out here just trying to do the best they can. That person that's giving that kid what you may think is an overlandish Christmas experience, maybe that's their last Christmas with their children and they want to make it as memorable as possible. Maybe that person that has those few gifts under their tree went through an illness or lost their job and they literally did the best they could. We have to refrain from judgment of others because we don't have the full story. And let's be honest, we shouldn't have to need the full story. We should be able to be respectful and just celebrate one another's efforts when they're doing the best they can. Second to last is relationship challenges. Y'all, I have had my fair share of challenges with friends and families at the holiday, and I myself have been difficult. I remember after my dad passed away, I was extremely angry. And I wasn't just angry for myself. I was angry for my family because we had just buried my grandfather a month before. And when I got that call about my dad, what scared me the most was having to tell my family because I didn't want them to hurt anymore. And I knew this was going to break a lot of us. And I was really angry after my dad passed away. And you can't go back and change things. And I was just acting out of the emotions I was experiencing. But I definitely was a really difficult person to be around. And when my dad passed away, he passed away on a Monday. And at the end of that week, we got the call about my best friend. And so that was just a really extreme low for me. I was angry. I had so many displaced emotions. I didn't know how to work through them. My best friend was my go-to person. And so losing my dad, and then I didn't want to burden her with my issues. It was just a wild time. And then we were losing her at the holiday season. And it was just looking back on it, it was not my proudest moments. But I was just hurting so bad because my job and my life has been time and time again, I take care of people. That is what I'm good at. If you need something done, if I can do something to alleviate somebody's stress or burden, it gives me so much purpose to care for others. And the fact that I couldn't take care of my own family, that ate away at me so badly that is literally one of my lowest times of my depression. That one day, if I'm brave enough, we'll share what that really looked like for me. But just know that relationships are hard. Family dynamics are extremely difficult. But in our heart of hearts, I feel like people really are trying to do the best they can. Not everybody has had the tools. Not everybody has the means to go to therapy. Not everybody is strong enough to heal generational wounds and to be that person that's the catalyst for change for their families. I know I have been judgmental myself on more than one occasion. And honestly, all we can do is learn from how we acted moving forward and try to be better for those in our life. But just know that it can be a very difficult time to deal with people. And sometimes what's best is that we just take a step back, we work through the thoughts we're having, and then we try again to have that conversation. Lastly, one of the biggest triggers this time of the year is simply having a mental health condition, having depression, having anxiety. They are triggered tenfold around the holiday season for the reasons I just listed and so many more. And so if you are somebody that struggles with these issues, now is the time that you treat yourself with grace and you make sure that you check in with yourself and you're meeting your needs as we try to get through a season that tends to have unrealistic expectations and standards. Now, we've talked about the heavy stuff. Let's talk about ways that we can help ourselves and help our loved ones get through the Holicray. The first thing is going to sound a little woo-woo, and just ride this one out with me, okay? First thing that you can do that's really going to help you and those around you is to practice self-care. Schedule time for yourself to recharge. Schedule time for yourself to do activities you enjoy. Make sure you are a priority this holiday season. And I know a lot of my friends are parents listening to this, and I don't know what it's like to have a child. I see them doing the absolute most for their families, but they deserve time too. So whether that's a bath, or you go to get your nails done, or you take a nap, or you go for a walk and just remove yourself from the busy household that you have 30 plus guests in. It's okay to say, hey, I need a minute, and to take that time for yourself. That way you can re-energize, recharge, and be your best for the people that you love, that you're surrounded with. Second thing, again, woo-woo, guys, is to practice mindfulness and meditation. This is something that your girl, I struggle with. It literally, every time I take a yoga class, it's like 15 minutes in before my brain turns off and I know where I'm at. It is so hard to turn our brains off and to give ourselves time knowing we have a laundry list of things to do that, let's be honest, how many holidays do we really get it all done? There's always going to be a present that needs wrapped, a cookie that gets overbaked, a card that you forget to send in the mail, and everybody still keeps going. So take time to meditate, focus on that breath work. It's super beneficial to relax your central nervous system, which will help with those rising cortisol levels as you feel stressed. And practicing mindfulness and appreciation for the things you have is something that is easy to say, can be hard to do, but has exponential benefits when you utilize this tool in your everyday life, but especially at the holidays. Third thing, I want you to maintain healthy habits. And please, please, please stop whatever you're doing and listen to what I'm about to say. Maintaining healthy habits during the holiday season does not mean increasing your workout ratio. It does not mean increasing your cardio because you ate a plate of cookies. It does not mean starving yourself all day to that holiday meal. You don't have to do anything different. Please, 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 please eat. Eat. You eat breakfast. If you're having an early Christmas dinner, there you go. If you're eating a late dinner, you eat breakfast and you eat lunch. The worst thing you can do for your body is starve yourself all day long because that dinner might have a higher caloric intake than you're used to eating. Listen, let me tell you something. I had a wonderful aunt. Her name was Kathy Jo, and she makes these iced sugar cookies. And I knew every Christmas season when we would go to her house, I was eating multiple ham sandwiches, and I was eating at least 6 of those iced sugar cookies and taking more home. I never felt bad for that. These are fond memories I have of being in her house with her children. They put on this incredible spread, spending time with them, and just seeing her have so much joy to feed us. That woman was always trying to feed you. And I miss that because she always was just the type to take care of people. And so I have fond memories of stuffing my face with iced Christmas cookies. This is usually the holiday that, if you don't know me, I'm allergic to dairy and eggs. And yes, I put myself through a painful few days, not for food, but for dessert, because there's nothing like those iced sugar cookies. And it's such a fond memory of just spending time with somebody that's no longer. And I'm not worried about the caloric intake. I don't care because she's gone and I'm not worried about calories. you just wish you had more time with those people. And so around the holidays, when I say maintain healthy habits, if you normally work out and it's a workout day and it works with your schedule, do your workout. If your gym is closed, that's your sign to rest. And if you are part of one of these families that does these holiday runs, y'all go ahead and have yourselves a real nice time. The only place I'm running to is to the kitchen table when the prime rib's getting cut by my family. There is nowhere else I'm accelerating my feet to go other than that kitchen when that prime rib's getting cut, let me tell you. So if you are somebody that is prone to do that and that's what your family does, go out and have fun with it. Don't worry about what your Apple Watch is telling you. You don't have to close your rings every day. We are so inundated and obsessed with tracking everything that while you're tracking something, you're missing out on crucial memories that you might not have next holiday season. So things that I do encourage you to do, stay hydrated. Y'all, the amount of ham I eat, I swell profusely from the salt. Drink your water. Stay hydrated. It's so important for so many reasons, especially your digestion because you're eating food you're not supposed to. As somebody with a severe GI condition, y'all, water, you really want to keep things flowing. But if you are drinking around the holiday season, make sure you drink a glass of water between your drinks. Keep your body fueled. Eat your normal meals. Live your best life at the holidays. Enjoy yourself without guilt. And if you want to, take your family on a walk. Spend time chatting with each other. Don't be worried about the calories you took in and the calories you're burning. It's not important. Go live your life and spend time with whoever it is that you love that you're able to be with this holiday season. And be mindful if you are somebody that struggles with your mental health around the holidays. We know that sometimes indulging in things like alcohol, they don't necessarily bring out our best traits. And so if you're somebody that is struggling with those issues around the holiday, be mindful how you choose to heal and be mindful of the things that you gravitate towards as you're navigating your mental health and grief this holiday season. As we close out this week's episode, I just want to recognize the variety of circumstances and situations you may be facing at this holiday season. I remember last year I had to work and I couldn't go home for Christmas and I was devastated. That is usually the one consistent time of the year I get to go home and I had to work. And I remember my mental health took a turn because of that. And even though I got to spend the holiday with friends and their families, and it was fantastic, it was still a wonderful holiday season. There was something about not seeing my family that really triggered me. So if you didn't have the means this year, or you weren't able to make it, or you're working the holiday, I hope you find a way to enjoy yourself. I hope you find a way to do something special, because it's not easy being away from those you love. And maybe you are going home for the holiday and you're facing shame or guilt or nerves because you do have a difficult family dynamic. Go into this holiday season leading from the front, being the best person you can be, and try to give grace to those who are difficult in your life, because at the end of the day, not everybody's willing to share their life on a podcast or social media like I am. But even though I do this, it's far from knowing the whole story. So this holiday season, whatever your belief system is, whatever you celebrate, I hope you have a happy, healthy, and as sane as possible holiday season. And today's call to action, your takeaway, is a personal one. I'm really big on community involvement. I have been given so much in my life, all things I know I have worked for, but I am very lucky. And any chance I get, every single week, I always do a small project and find a way to help somebody in need. So I hope if you're listening this holiday season, this inspires you to go out and help at least one person in your community, whether that's providing a meal, a bottle of water, clothes, a blanket, or you go out and donate to your angel trees. I hope if you have the means, you choose to help somebody in need. When you realize what happens when we start this incredible positive domino effect, there are so many people that can be positively impacted who tend to have no hope and feel like they are less than and judged by society because of their circumstances, when in reality, that could be any of us. If life takes a turn and things get extremely hard, people aren't always able to recover from the circumstances that they endure in this life. So I hope this inspires you. If you've passed somebody in need, that you help change the course of that day. It's the small little things that can change the outcome of somebody's life. All right, y'all. Happy holidays. Stay tuned and we'll chat soon.